the bat is that I still have that cue in there so that after the fact, only you got to experience that last few minutes. After the fact, when YouTube says the file is ready, I'll cut the front end off. So, I love that opportunity to hang out with you here in the live stream. And I guess actually it's now a teaser.
Pre-show.
Now it's a teaser for joining us live. Anyway, the other thing.
Ken sings and dances. Yeah, it's like the whole thing.
If you're watching the replay, you should have seen the breakdancing. I mean, I even blew my own mind. All my hair flew off. Who would have thought? Tonight, we've put together for you, those of you that are in the live stream, 24 hours only, 15% off all your puppy training tools in one bundle. We're going to talk about some powerful tools that changed my experience puppy training. Anytime we give our students these kinds of tools, these pieces of equipment, it changes their puppy training. Believe me, I didn't believe it. But when you use something like a house line, which is a little bit of precursor to something we're going to talk about, it's like you become a magic dog trainer. Like it's so good for you and your puppy and the relationship building. Anyway, I wanted to make sure that we had something special for those of you in the live stream for the next 24 hours. 15% off. It comes as a bundle, and it's going to help you. Now, let's dive into the first topic. And this is, at one point it was a bit of you had to convince people more the usefulness of these kinds of management tools. But now it's commonplace, that people are using these. What's maybe the most impactful, important management tool you can use in puppy training?
A puppy crate, a dog crate.
Totally.
And like Ken said, that used to be sort of a little bit, frowned upon because people had immense crate guilt. And I would say that some people still do have a lot of crate guilt. They feel like dogs shouldn't be contained in a box and that it's mean and the dogs don't like it. But really, it couldn't be further from the truth. And a lot of how dogs feel about a crate and how much benefit you get from the crate is how you feel about it yourself and how you use it. As someone who has been training and raising dogs independent of my parents since I was like 14, 15 years old, I have trained a lot of dogs in my time, and I have never, ever had a dog that didn't like their crate. And there's one common denominator, and it's me.
Right.
And it's because I believe in crates, and I believe that it's important to teach puppies to love their crate and that it's a really safe place. So by using a crate, why it's so important is that because I cannot watch my puppy 100% of the time, I need somewhere safe that I can leave my pup, that they are not rehearsing bad behaviors, that can allow me the time to still live, my normal busy life or your normal busy life and be able to return back to puppy training and know that while you were gone, nothing bad happened.
Right.
And that's going to lead you to be able to work towards perhaps not using the crate as they get a little older, they get more experience, they know the rules of the road, all of those types of things. But it is very helpful because it quickens the process. It keeps your puppy safe. It also really helps with leadership. So, that's sort of a couple things, a hard thing for people to really understand. But again, leadership, it allows me to give information clearly and effectively. And our goal, our McCann method goal, is we want you to tell your puppy that they're right, that they're making good choices 10 times more a day than you're telling them that they're making a poor choice. And by utilizing the crate, I am able to set my puppy up for more success so that I'm able to praise and reward my puppy because I can control where they're going. I also can control their freedom. So they sort of learn that, I have the ability to give it and take it away, which leads to more freedom over time as the puppy gets a little bit more reliable.
So I want to go back just a moment because, you mentioned that some people have a tremendous amount of crate guilt. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing enough with your puppy, then it's understandable. You might feel some crate guilt. But one of the most impactful decisions you can make is intentional crating. So what that means is you're building out a plan before and after your puppy needs to be in their crate. Now, we're not talking about just, having your puppy in there all the time. Absolutely not. But when you can't supervise your puppy, that's a great time for them to go in their crate. And, it starts with beginning in the morning. Our puppies come out of their crate because they've been managed well, and because we know, how much activity they've gotten. We know we can start the house training routine from the moment they come out of their crate in the morning. Potty training can begin. go out, do your potty training thing. We'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. But you bring your puppy back in. Now you're going to do something with them. You're going to engage with them. You're going to play some, maybe do some brain games and like do some tricks and do some training, do some luring. Maybe you do some physical exercise. Something like our puppy tug is a great tool to burn off a bunch of energy really, really quickly. This simple little toy I love interactive toys. This one specifically, we've put a lot of effort into making the best puppy tug out there, but I love this toy because it's only fun when I'm at the other end of it with my puppy. It's a great way to build relationship. It's also a great way to burn off energy in just a couple of minutes, so that my puppy now is kind of coming down a little bit. And now they're ready to have their meal. They're ready to go lie down in their crate because they need to go in there for the next short while, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But having a strategy for your puppy is important because you do want them to you want to make crate training easier. We talk a lot about associating good things with the crate. Pretty easy to do, watch any of our crate training videos, but also like what you're doing before is really helpful. Your puppy's ready to go lie down and just sort of relax in there. It'll speed up your crate training. It's also going to make you feel more comfortable with the idea that you're like building out a plan, a strategy for your puppy and for their crate training. I just have one more thing that I thought was really important. I had a 2-year-old Labrador Retriever, and I didn't use a crate with her for way too long. It was a disaster trying to train this dog, and my vet eventually said, like, listen, you have to go over to McCann Dogs. I can't even assess her. She's absolutely going crazy. I can't. This is wild. So I go over to McCann Dogs and I do some training. I start to get the skills. And I remember your mom said to me one time, she said, do you crate her? And I said, no. Like, why would I need, she's 2 years old. Why would I need to do that? She said, you'd be amazed, like some of the leadership that it's going to instill in her. What I realized when I started crating my 2-year-old dog, who had no training before, is what was so great about the crate is it would take care of her if I couldn't watch her. She couldn't get into trouble. She'd chewed a bunch of things and eaten a tennis ball and doing all sorts of horrible stuff. But really, another side effect of using the crate like that is every time she came out of the crate, she engaged with me. So what does that what happens then? All of a sudden, anytime she's out of her crate, I'm the best thing around. It increases my value. And I know you might think like, I love my dog and I'm sure they love me, but they might not treat you that way sometimes, without strong leadership, which doesn't mean like heavy-handed authoritarian, dictatorship. We're talking about relationship. You'll build that relationship more quickly by using a crate because your puppy knows that like, I get to chill out and relax in the crate. Every time I come out, there's my human, and I get to have fun with them, and I get to learn with them, and they'll feed me. All these things are really, really important.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to give 2 little tips that we do with our own dogs that I think leads to the puppies being more comfortable and happy in a crate. Number 1 is for, I would say for sure, the first year of their life, they are getting at least 1 meal a day in their crate. And we start this the day they come home, the night they come home, in the morning they come home. And what starts to happen is the puppy starts to learn that when I start to get the food ready, the crate is where they eat the food. And often what happens with really smart, clever puppies is you go to get the food ready, and before you can even tell them to go in their crate, they are actually running in and waiting for you, waiting for their food to come. So they learn this box that I go in brings food, brings really good things. The second thing that we do, and this is really important, is we don't wait to work on puppy training. So the moment my puppies get home, I am introducing the crate immediately. They sleep in the crate that first night. They are spending time in the crate when I can't watch them that very first day home. And while I've had many dogs that scream blue murder for a day or so because it's just a different schedule than they're used to, within a few days of me, learning about what care they need and exercising them in between mentally and physically in between their crate spurts. After a few days, it's smooth sailing every time with every puppy, all breeds. But I hear often people say, the puppy's 4, 5, 6 months old, and they're like, oh yeah, we're still working on getting the dog comfortable in the crate because the puppy's only in the crate when it's sleeping or when they go out to work and they're not in it any other time because they're working on it.
Yeah, this is a good
That's
tip.
your first problem.
Yeah.
You know, you want to just use it right off the bat, right from the moment, so they don't really know anything different. And then, you know, the battles that you have to cross over with an older dog in crate training, they're taken care of in the first couple days that your puppy is home. Now, not to say that you're not going to get into some sticky situations with house training or puppies chewing things in the crate or things like that. There's a lot more scope to what I'm talking about that we can get into detail in our programs and things like that. I'm sort of speaking to you guys generally now, but you don't want to wait for it. You want to just get to it right away.
I see a few people that mentioned, like, my puppy's going crazy. We're going to GSD random. Thank you for the super chat. You turned the lights green. They were flashing. We're going to answer that in just a second. But a lot of these, I see a lot of people saying, like, as soon as my puppy gets a toy, they get super bitey. The tools we're talking about tonight are exactly the kind of thing you need to start using. A house line is the most powerful piece of equipment you are ever going to use with any puppy training. It is singly the best tool you can use.
Yeah.
With it, you need to use some skills and, like, know what you're doing. But the house line is a useful tool. I want to jump in here for a second. I want to grab that super chat.
Just while you're getting ready with that, I see a lot of people saying, "Why are my dogs not food motivated?" There's lots of other things you can do. We have a ton of videos on our channel that talk specifically about using toys in training. In fact, we had a puppy that we raised named Euchre who was not food motivated, and we had to work on some other things. So just search around a little bit more. We have tons of stuff on that. You know, food is not the only answer. It certainly makes life a lot easier, but it's not the only answer.
Okay, from GSD Random, thank you for the super chat. My dog gets super hyper outside when nobody else is around. It's very random. She'll start jumping and biting like crazy. How can I remedy this?
Well, sort of a hard question to ask without being able to see it, because there is going to be, it's not random. There will be some type of reason why the dog does that. Of course, it's hard to say without seeing it. The cool thing about dogs is they don't do anything random. There's always some reason why they do anything that they do. But first, I would recommend that when you are outside, that you are keeping the dog on a leash so you have control, and that you
can, a long line.
Yeah,
like you have to have control. I think in this situation,
though, a leash, because if the dog is going to be jumping up and biting, you want to be able to shorten up on the leash to place your dog into a sit, into a more of a controlled position, and then work towards a long line. I think that would be good, but your dog needs less freedom in this particular moment, and sometimes what happens is when our dogs are really pumped up like that and we go to take control, sometimes it doesn't go as smoothly as we hope it would, and the dogs have all this pent up energy, so you go to place them in a sit and they get a bit bitey or they get a bit more jumpy, especially if they're not used to you taking control of the situation. And it's really important that you just stay calm and collected and cool and consistent about what you're doing. You're going to continue to immobilize the dog. We suggest just going into a basic sit. It's a great sort of control position until the dog settles. The other direction that you can take is try to give the dog a job to do as soon as you get outside, so that that pent up energy is not so easily directed towards you. So you could go outside with the long line, for example, and, you know, work on getting the dog to tug on a toy, or, you know, search for treats in the grass, or whatever it might be that sort of gets the dog thinking about doing something, some type of job. And that might take the edge off a little bit, so that as you proceed forward with whatever the rest of your tasks are, it will be okay.
For sure. So the crate is a useful tool when you can't manage, or when you're not able to supervise your dog. We've talked a little bit about how to get there. We have a ton of videos that talk about how to get your dog comfortable in the crate and the things that you can do in and around crate time that's going to allow them to be more relaxed. You teach them to be more comfortable. Kayl talked a little bit about, like, letting them cry it out the first couple of days, but at some point you're going to put a stop to that. Yeah. So we also have videos that talk about how to stop the barking and whining in their crate when, you know, they've had an adequate amount of time to learn how to relax in there. All these videos available here on our YouTube channel. If you search McCann dogs crate barking, something like that might find you the videos quickly. We've mentioned it a couple of times, but I think it's maybe we need to talk about now what a house line is.
Yeah.
I love the fact that still we see on videos like, I don't understand why you'd put a leash on your dog in the house. Why would you put a leash on a dog?
We don't understand why you wouldn't.
in the house.
So we put a leash on the dog in the house, or a line. It's not really a specific leash. It doesn't have a handle intentionally, so it can slip and slide through the furniture and not get caught up as much, even though it will get caught sometimes. It's just the nature of the situation. But the reason for it is because when we want to get control, two things are really important. Number one, our timing. We need to be able to stop the behavior the moment it happens. And by having a line on, I can get to my puppy quickly before they can run off with that thing in their mouth or play the chase me game. And the second thing is I don't want to be grabbing and chasing the actual dog, because that can lead to multiple things. It can lead to more nipping and biting back towards me. It could lead to the dogs thinking it's a catch me if you can game, which lowers my status as a leader, because the dog sort of says, ha, you can't catch me. And now it's just turning into a big game. And that leads to that situation happening again, repeating itself, because it becomes a positive rather than a negative. It also is going to stop my dog from being able to get into places where I can't reach them, like under the couch or behind the couch or under the coffee table or whatever it might be, where the dog's being a little sneaky and they sort of don't want to face the music, so they sort of say, haha, here I go. Right. The other thing that I can do is I can prevent problems from happening before they're even there. So my puppy likes to steal the tea towel off the couch, oh my God.
Weird place to have a tea towel, but hey.
Off the stove. If my dog likes to chew, my shoes or whatever it might be, when my puppy is headed towards that place and I know exactly what's happening, I just step on the line. Yeah. I stop it from happening. And then I goes, hey, wait a second. And now I can redirect them to something that they should be doing. My information is well-timed and it's clear. The dog doesn't get to rehearse weeks and weeks and weeks of chewing on the shoes. So now I have a dog that doesn't even know chewing on a leash is, my brain is very scrambled at the moment. My puppy doesn't even know that chewing shoes is even a thing, because they've never got to taste it in the first place. It's just never happened. Yep. And that is contributed to having a line or a leash on, so that I can control where they go in the house. In addition to this, when I have a really young dog that doesn't know any commands yet, doesn't have a recall, doesn't really know about listening, is I would use this, and I would use like baby gates or section off areas in the house, so that my dog can only be in the kitchen until I have a little bit more skill underneath my belt, and then I could maybe start to widen the range of the home that the dog could be free in, but they would still have this on. And that will sort of be changed depending on the puppy's progression in their training, not so much relative to age.
Your puppy will do whatever feels good. So they learn to chew on the shoes. They learn to pee in the living corner of the living room. They learn to tug on your pant legs. They learn these things because in an absence of information, if you're not there to give them good information, or if you miss the timing of it, they're going to do whatever feels good. And if it feels good, it must be the right thing. The house line is a great way to extend your arms 4 more feet. It's a great way to take control of your puppy when they're nipping and biting like crazy. You can quickly take control of their collar, sliding your hand down it. It's a great way to get them outside for a quick potty run. When you're like, uh-oh, I think we're about to have an accident, you take hold of the house line and out you go. So, it is such a useful tool, and it just allows you to have better timing. Timing is everything in dog training. So if you can interrupt your dog's nuisance behavior, let's say, it's going to be that is as much good learning as like showing them what the right thing is. Sometimes it's nice for them to have accidents, make the wrong choice.
Yeah, so that you can show them that's not what they should do. Counter surfing, all kinds of things. Do you want to tell them why we put a white line down the middle?
No, that's a good thing to point out, though. This is a bit of a secret move on our part, because we know our students will take their puppy house line home, and then they come back next week, and the white line in the middle is totally clean. And we're like,
we know that they haven't used it.
Yeah. So it's a great way to...
It's sort of an inside joke between us and the students.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great way to know whether or not you're using it enough. So we put a white line down the center of it to just sort of gauge, like, is this thing on the puppy enough? Because it will get dirty really quickly, which is really, really great to give you a sense of, if it's working or not.
And are the long lines part of the bundle for tonight?
They
or
are.
the house line, sorry?
House line, yeah. House line, long line, and puppy tug. All the puppy stuff
The
you
trifecta.
need. That's right. All the things I wish I had when I first started with Deegan.
I literally can't wait to get a puppy so that we can use the biothane line.
Oh, really?
I don't want a puppy. But I think we have enough dogs right now, but it will be fun because we didn't have that product when we had our last puppy, and I'm looking forward to it.
Totally. That is important. You know, we have all kinds of things on our McCann Dog store for puppy training and dog training, for training specifically, but we don't just sell stuff. You know, we sell the things we've identified are going to change your experience. The things we've identified change our experience as dog owners. So, you know, you can, when you go over there, whether it's right now or later or whatever, McCannDogs.store, when you check out the store, you know the amount of intent that goes into each product. Because we're pretty excited about the long lines. They are very awesome and perfect roadside. Let's talk about the long line, in fact. Why is the long line important? Why would a puppy owner need a long line?
I don't know how. I use it every single day with a puppy. And I would say the main reason why I like it is because when you have a puppy, they don't have any leash sense yet. They also can't be trusted off leash.
What does leash sense mean?
Leash sense means that, you know, when you attach just a regular leash to your puppy and you go outside to take them to, you know, potty or whatever it might be, they haven't learned not to pull on a leash. And when you're trying to maneuver a puppy, a wild and crazy puppy, on 6 feet of line, typically that line is going to be tight. And that means that week after week, your dog is living life on a tight leash before I have a chance to train my dog about having leash respect or being leash wise. So I really love, you know, when I'm taking my puppy out for potty breaks in the yard or whatever, you know, every day that happens, I'm taking my puppy out on our 20-foot, 21-foot lines because it gives my puppy a bit more freedom to move around and find a spot to go to the bathroom. But it also gives me an opportunity to keep them under control. So if they decide to pick up sticks or leaves or get a little too far away from me or, you know, get a little too close to where the road is or whatever, I can redirect my puppy so easily with our lines. And eventually I work towards perhaps not having to hold the line in my hand, but just drag it around the yard so that I can work on my recall. I can work on my puppy's response to name, but I always have a safety blanket that I can pick up and get my dog's connection back to me, attention back on me whenever I need to. So it's something that we use every single day when we're outside with the dogs. I particularly, Ken and I have multiple dogs. And so when we have a puppy and we have our puppy outside with our older dogs, I keep my pup on a long line so that, you know, he can't run and jump all over my other dogs whenever he wants to. And, you know, when we had 5 alive, our youngest, we also had 3 very elderly dogs, and we didn't allow him to go and jump on them and bother them. And the long line is something that we could use when we started to go on prop walks and hikes and things like that. We could use that to control him. So they're awesome. Great for recall training, just great for general verbal control. I teach my dog to fetch with the long line on, so I can throw the toy and get the dog to come back without running all over the yard with the toy. I use the line to kind of reel them in like a fish a little bit to get them to focus back on me.
But it also
honestly could go on and on.
I mean, it's just, you know, it's just the I know you said safety blanket, but like it's just you can do more with them when you have that kind of management. It just makes such a difference. You can do longer recalls. To this point, I like RSF Alzone question. If we should let them rest now, when should we practice and how? Talking about the crate training a little bit. So that's a great question, and it's really important that everyone knows that your training sessions are going to be short and sweet and to the point. You need to take advantage of natural training opportunities throughout the day. So let's say your puppy comes out of their crate in the morning. Their breakfast is a great time to use food in your training. You know, you're going to make them work for their breakfast. They're going to work for that food. You're going to teach them to be more interested in food. It's not something that just falls from the sky or just laying on the floor. They need to do something for you to get that thing. And what's so interesting, and I don't know whether this makes sense to you, but it made a lot of sense to me when someone said, like, think about your dog getting food through you, not just from you. I thought, ooh, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, because if they put in a little bit of effort, and at the beginning, it's simple stuff, luring. Maybe it's luring a sit. Maybe it's literally luring in a little figure eight in front of you, but the puppy's putting in a little bit of effort.
A little figure eight.
That's right. The puppy's putting in some effort, and you're rewarding them for that. They're starting to learn that, if I pay attention to this human, if I just put in a little bit of energy into this, I get something out of it. In fact, it's my breakfast. So let's just say you've done your morning breakfast routine.
I just thought of a video idea.
You want to keep it a secret? I'll send it to the YouTube team right now.
We might have it already, but I was just thinking to myself, also because we have an instructor who's about to pick up a puppy tomorrow, but we should make if we don't have a video already, a list of the 4 or 5 or 6 items that we absolutely would get before we pick our puppy up. Do we have that video?
I don't know. I'm not sure we can.
Because I was just thinking, like, all of these things we're talking about, I think to myself, I look forward to, like, getting brand new long line, brand new house line, brand new collar, whatever. I get all the things, and I make sure I have all of those items before I get my puppy home, and I do it with every single puppy I get.
Our studio manager
So we need a list of those things. What is...
Got it.
What's the list?
Okay.
Got it. Good
Perfect.
job, Dan.
Okay, so you finish your breakfast training routine. Now you're going to, maybe you're going to exercise your puppy a little bit too. You'll do some restrained recalls in the hallway. All of this takes like 10 minutes. And by the end, you take your puppy out for potty, bring them back in, let them snooze, and you can do whatever you need to do, getting ready for work or getting ready for your day, maybe your work from home, whatever. And then before, you come back, let's say you have to go to work. Before you go to work, you're going to take them outside and let them do their thing, pee or poo outside. Maybe you're going to do a little exercise game or whatever with them. Burn off some of that energy with your puppy tug and your long line, or your puppy tug and your house line. And then they're like ready to snooze. Puppies sleep so much. But these are the kinds of training sessions I want you to be thinking about. Every time you take them out, you're going to do something for a short amount of time. And maybe in the evening, let's say, that short amount of time is just a snuggle session. You're just sitting there cuddling with them.
Snuggle it up.
Their little popcorn-smelling feet and their like little soft ears and whatever.
It's so weird that you think that.
I don't know why I really do, though. But, these training sessions are happening in small chunks throughout the day. The worst thing you can do is devote 35 minutes to training your dog when you get home from work.
And then forget about it for the rest of the time.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and then just sort of let them do their own thing. That's not a good way for a dog to learn. And a terrible way to instill the idea that at any point in the day, at wherever you are, your dog might need to listen to you. So it's really important to like instill throughout the day in different locations throughout your house or home that it might be time to work. There's so much value there.
Can I answer this?
Yeah. From Junior Castro.
For the long line, is it better to use it with a harness or a collar? If it's for a young dog, I would lean towards using it with a collar because you can turn the dog's body more easily. When the line is attached to the middle of the back, I can pull a puppy back, but they can still like keep looking towards they're locked on to, and they just sort of back up. When I am attached to the collar, I can actually turn the dog away from the distraction, which means I can get their attention back on me a lot more quickly. So I would recommend a collar. We will use harnesses, but we typically don't use them until our dogs are trained, because you just can't get the same type of redirection and control with a harness. The dogs can really lean into a harness when they haven't had training. But I love harnesses, and you'll see us, hike our dogs on harnesses and things like that. But our dogs have already been trained to look at us when we ask and not pull and sit and do all of the things. So it doesn't really matter. So anyway, short answer, collar.
Yeah, Casey says, when you're outside, is it best to redirect a very young puppy, 9 weeks, straight pressure, short pops, or luring with a treat? Well, I mean, you shouldn't be too far away from that 9-week-old puppy when you're outside. I mean, the reality is you're definitely not going to be popping them from far away. Straight pressure may or may not do the trick, but I mean, with a 9-week-old puppy, which is very young, you're probably not going to put the don't put the dog in that situation.
No.
So luring with a treat might be appropriate if you're close enough.
Yeah, even at this point, like make some like pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
So they turn and run
that's
away,
good.
use
Yeah.
chase.
Yep.
When I have a puppy that's that young, they often have a pretty good natural follow to begin with. And so I just sort of lean into that. So I can make a funny noise to get them to look. You could lure them with a treat. And then I use tons of chase with puppies that age because they already have that ingrained in them naturally. Especially if you have a dog that has a good breeder, they'll do lots of chase games with puppies. And what's nice about that is when you turn and run away, it's such a natural instinct. Even if your puppy's never seen it before, they see something moving and they go, whoo, that looks like fun. And rather than chasing leaves or distractions, once they turn, run away, clap your hands, cheer, make squeaky noises, lots of fun things so your dog gets close and they think there's like a party going on. That would be a better way to go about it with a puppy that's that young.
I'm just wondering if I've seen a couple of good questions. I'm wondering if we should move on to the next point, or how many of you? I'd like to know if you're at home right now and you feel like your puppy follows you around everywhere. I'd like to know if that's you. Just say me, and then put your puppy's age, because a couple people are asking things like, "Oh, well, how long does the puppy follow you for?" One of the
It depends.
One of the greatest tricks that puppies play is thinking that making you think that they're following you and they'll do that forever. The amount of people who say to us like, "Oh, I mean, I've just got the smartest puppy. It's the most wonderful thing. I don't think he'll ever do anything wrong, and he just follows me around the house all the time." That is short-lived.
Fast forward to 2 months later.
or even 3 weeks sometimes, and you're like, "Oh, what have I done? I'm not paying enough attention to this puppy." So, I see 9 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously puppy dependent, but there will come a time. There are two very distinct, what's the word I'm looking for? Thresholds.
Phases?
Like adolescent, teenage phases that your puppy will have. Phases is a good word. And you're going to see like around 16 weeks and then like maybe around 8 months, they're going to start to change their behavior a little bit. Mm-hmm. And if you've made good choices up until this point, you're still going to run into some struggles, but boy, oh boy, is your puppy going to learn what you want more quickly.
I would say that that's one of the reasons why we've developed the programs that we have as well. They're based on those time phases. So for our Puppy Essentials program, we work on a certain sort of list of exercises up until a puppy is 16 weeks, 4 months old, around that area. And then obviously there's some skills that you carry on because you want to start a foundation when they're puppies. So baby puppies, so under 4 months. But once they hit that 4-month mark, we shift gears a little bit because the puppy's brain and curiosities and things that they do, it changes at that age, and that's why we have our life skills program, because it's better suited for that age gap. So that's sort of why we have the two different programs, and of course life skills has different levels to it as well. But our Puppy Essentials program is about prevention. It's about bonding. It's about by prevention, I mean, we show you exercises that stop you from having a lot of the unwanted behaviors that come when you don't start things early, like, being able to handle your dog, being able to clip your dog's toenails, being able to have really stress-free vet visits, to have a puppy that learns to come to you really quickly, to have a puppy that calms down very quickly when you ask them to, exposure techniques, all of those types of things we start right from the beginning. But then, of course, once they turn into 4 months or so, we need to start working on leash control. We need to start working on longer distance recalls, impulse control, all of that kind of stuff. So that's sort of how we've developed the age gaps for our different programs. It's because we know that dogs need different things at different phases in their life.
Totally. And you could train with us starting as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah.
Check out our
online
programs. Yes, yeah, online.
And if you want to do in person, we have a new session starting in October. I'm not sure how many spots are left though, so you'd have to get on that quickly.
Call the office for sure. Mm-hmm. We have dog trainers standing by, ready to take your calls and also find the right program for you. Now, potty training. I know it's a struggle for a lot of people. If you are a new puppy owner, it might be like the bane of your existence. One of the the things that where you think like I don't know how much more toilet or paper towel I can buy. Like they know me at the store because I'm going there to buy paper towels so often. But there's some common things that we'll do with our puppies and things that we'll teach our students to do that will help you not just like potty train the puppy, but like stop all the accidents. It's powerful. How many accidents did Five Alive have when we had him as a puppy?
One.
Yeah.
I can't even think of it, so maybe none.
He probably had one, but like that's a
or
possibility.
Or he like started to, and then I caught him while he was doing it and stopped him midway, probably.
And it's not just because Kayl's so brilliant and beautiful. It's because of good decision making and strategy. You know, you can have the same experience with a puppy. You just need to know what the heck you're doing. You need to have a plan.
Yeah.
You also need to understand how puppies think, you know, why they make some of the choices they make. And I want to dive into 5 common times your puppy will definitely need to go outside after coming out of their crate, after their dinner, after a big play session, before they go into their crate. You know, you're setting yourself up for failure if you think you can put your puppy in their kennel and they're just not going to pee in there. And one of the most important is when you're just not sure. You're like, they might have to pee. I don't know.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
100%. Because remember, your puppy does what feels good. So if they learn that it's way easier, we're in Canada and we're quickly approaching winter time. So if your puppy, yeah, I know. If your puppy learns that it is way nicer to go pee on the living room carpet than it is on the freezing cold driveway, you know, that's what they're going to want to do. So it's really important that if you're not sure and you know, you're like, I can't remember quite the last time that they had a pee or a poo, take them outside, go out and you know, work on that potty training. Also, supervision is so important. I can't stress that enough. Let's talk a little bit about supervision when you're working on house training a puppy.
Yeah. So supervision also has to do with, you know, kind of what Ken just said, like getting to know what your puppy's schedule is so that you can anticipate things, possible errors before they happen. And I sort of touched on this a little bit earlier in the stream, so I'll definitely repeat myself if you haven't been with us the whole time. But being able to set myself up to manage the puppy and be able to supervise the puppy more easily is going to help. So utilizing the crate when I can't watch them, of course, so that they can't have any accidents because I'm, you know, typing on the computer and my puppy's like snuck down into the bedroom or into the bathroom and they're, you know, I'm not paying attention. It's like, oh, where's the puppy? And I'm multitasking. You don't want to do that before your puppy is reliably understanding about potty training. Second thing is I'm going to have that house line on my puppy, and I might even utilize those barricades of some sort so that my puppy again can't move away. So I'm going to be very intentional about my supervision, that I'm ready for you know, if they have an accident. But even the better thing to do is be ready to start learning the signs of when your dog needs to go outside, because that's going to start to lend towards teaching your puppy that it's their responsibility to let you know that they have to go outside, rather than how it starts off, you know, when we have a brand new puppy, it's our responsibility to know when they have to go out to go potty. But very soon you can switch the roles by supervising so closely that you can actually learn their signs so that they can notify you that they have to go out. And once the roles are reversed, that's when potty training becomes so much easier, because your puppy's going to be able to communicate with you when they need something, and then you can react appropriately. But the only way you're going to learn those signs is by supervising your puppy and putting them in situations where it's very, very easy to show you what they need.
Okay, I want to show you a video that we captured from Five Alive when we had Five Alive.
The cutest puppy of all time.
One of them for sure. Now, Kayl.
Oh, look at my hair in this video.
Kayl talked a little bit about supervision and noticing some of the signs. And it's amazing how similar a lot of these signs are between a bunch of different puppies that we've had or puppy experiences that I've had. But you do need to understand that it is like you can miss it if you're distracted cooking dinner or chatting with the kids or like not paying attention, and you put your feet up and check your phone and your puppy is about to do this. You can miss it. I want to show you how subtle this is, but this is why Five Alive had maybe one accident his entire puppyhood. So just keep an eye on this.
Life. So short and pudgy he is.
I know.
He's like
that. Oh, look, that's so we used to make long lines. Look at that. Even before we were selling them, or even before we were making our own, we used to use long lines. It's like a little orange one.
Orange is his color. Yeah. Oh, gonna have a little drink.
Kayl's gonna have a sip
What's
of juice.
happening here?
So watch this. That moment, so I'll pause it. This moment is all it takes, and maybe because Five Alive has gone out that door at our house multiple times, like taken outside to do his thing. So now, because Kayl is right nearby, keeping an eye on what the heck he's doing. Also, it's probably that moment where the puppy goes silent, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Silence? That's not ever a good thing with a puppy.
What is he looking at?
So he stared briefly at the door, and then Kayl's like, oh, do you need to go outside? And she picks him up and she takes him out. Now, I want to go to one that's maybe a little bit more obvious, but is office hours?
For Friday?
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know that someone had mentioned going to our store tomorrow, and I think
Saturday is 8:30 a.m., 9 a.m. to 3:30, yeah.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, Friday, if you're in the area, it's 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, I want to show you a little bit more obvious version of this. Hold on one second. So, let me know, do you have a puppy who does witching hour or like has the zoomies or whatever, starts to go bonkers at a certain time of night, or like we'll just do a puppy burn, which I mean, it's adorable. But and then all of a sudden they have an accident. Not uncommon. Keep an eye on what happens here. But again, because Kayl's got a house line on, she's supervising closely. She's not letting the puppy make mistakes. She's able to capture this. And after this, completely changed the his house training experience.
Look at him, right? He's like, I
don't
know how I feel.
Need something.
Where do I go? What do I do?
Look,
what do I do?
Right there.
He has to poo. I can tell now. I know his signs.
Yeah. But you see Kayl
identify
identify
like a bit
that?
Frantic. He got sort of like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the bathroom. Where do I go? What do I do? It's such unusual behavior that it sort of just caught my eye. And then I was able to, it's always so weird when you take it out.
And how he's indicating to the door. Like a couple times, he bounces toward it. But if you weren't supervising, you might have missed that in-between part and thought like, oh, he wants to play tug or wants to play fetch or something.
But that really got the ball rolling, because after that, he would be so good about either. So if I was in the kitchen, he still does it. He's almost 3 years old now. This was quite some time ago. But he'll go and stand at the door, look at the door, look at me, look at the door. Like, it's just so clear. Or if we're in the other room, he'll kind of come and stand in the room that we're in, and he'll sort of be still, and he'll look towards the kitchen, and then he'll look back, and like, you just know. But that all started from just those first couple steps.
Yeah. Jamar with the super chat, lightening up the train station.
Green.
Send that over. Okay, Border Collie mix, 8 weeks old. Crate training equals whining, digging, and nervous biting. I feel he's doing this because he's bored, but he naps a lot. Any tips?
Yeah, it could be bored. It could be that he just doesn't want to be in there. 8 weeks old, not very old puppy. I would just sort of reiterate some of the things that we said before. Just make sure that that puppy is totally satisfied before you time. They really like to do stuff. So if you're doing stuff with your puppy and then you finish and you feel like you've done enough and you put them in their crate, sometimes they don't zonk out right away because they're like, hey, we were having fun. What's happening here? And so do we need to repeat what we said because of that? Okay. So sometimes it takes a bit for them to settle. Now, 8 weeks, you don't have a very old puppy yet, so you could just sort of let them, whine it out a little bit. But after, a week or so home, you could start to correct that behavior as well so that it doesn't become a thing. But it could be for a number of reasons. But either way, it's not something you want to let continue.
While you're supervising, we've talked about all the ways that you can make sure your puppy is successful. What happens if they have an accident?
Well, the best thing to do is to react while they go and almost startle them in a way. So, hey, what are you doing? I usually clap my hands and sort of raise my voice a little bit so they're like, whoa.
Did Kayl startle you?
Yeah, maybe
she
I
kind of
did.
startled me there.
So the puppy sort of go, oh my God.
Yeah,
but as soon as I do that, I stop immediately and I scoop the puppy up, take them outside. I'm like Jekyll and Hyde. Once I get outside and I put my puppy down, I'll switch right back to my normal, hurry up. And as soon as they start to go, yay, that's better, good puppy. And I praise and praise and praise and praise. So the puppy goes, oh, it's so much better out here. This makes much more sense. I have had situations where I've sort of stopped the puppy midstream and I've sort of startled them. I take them outside and they're like, I can't possibly continue. I don't really know what to do. And I'll just sort of quietly wait out there for a few moments. And if the puppy won't go and I know that they need to finish, then I'll bring them back inside, but I just won't let them be loose to, continue having an accident. I might put them in the crate for 5-10 minutes and just sort of let them settle a little bit, and then I'll just preemptively let the puppy out and we'll just try again to make sure that they've actually like fully relieved themselves. But I feel that that's the best way to catch them in the act and to redirect them to what they should be doing.
If they don't stop peeing, don't pick your puppy up and create a stream all the way to the door. I know this is some question because people take things so literally. They're like, well, yeah, but that your intention is to like stop the puppy peeing with a clapping or the hey, knock it off or whatever. And but if they don't stop peeing, don't create a line to your door. If you don't see it, you can't fix it. So if somehow your puppy sneaks away after all of this coaching and encouragement that we've given you, and your puppy goes around the corner where you can't see, and they have an accident, that's your fault. It's not their fault. It's really important that you're keeping an eye on them. That's why Kayl talked a little bit about baby gates and barricades and just ways to manage your puppy so that they can't get away with that kind of thing. And here's the problem is it's going to set back your training so much if they get a chance to rehearse it. Not unlike chewing in your home.
Before we go on, can I just say Maggie's comment? I really love it.
Yep.
She said, we were such helicopter hoovers at first. Luna never had a chance to have accidents, and then Puppy Essentials helped us see that she needed some accidents.
Oh.
She knew where to go, but where not to go.
But not where not to go.
Yeah, so I think that that's really important because you don't want to get too worried about
So clarify that
a little bit of accidents because
Right.
sometimes what happens, and I have seen this happen, is we have students that are trying to be so diligent about making sure their puppies don't have any accidents and letting them out on a regular basis. And they're so successful with that, but the puppy actually doesn't then know what they don't know. They know going outside is good, but they haven't yet experienced any type of correction for going inside. So they actually don't know that potentially is off bounds as well. So that's a really good point, Maggie, that if they do have an accident, make sure, the best thing is if they have an accident inside, you're there to let them know it's not right. You've had that conversation and then you're good to go. So that's a really good point to make. And then just the last thing with Jamar, I just want to remind you, if you haven't seen a lot of our videos already, we actually have some excellent crate training videos specifically about noise and barking and that whining, that type of thing on the YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen any of those, make sure you search those out because I think that will reiterate some of the things I said.
And at 8 weeks old, Jamar, like you're the perfect candidate for something like our online Puppy Essentials program where you can get
you're like fresh meat.
Yeah, well, you can get like personalized support.
Yeah.
Your puppy's ready to learn.
Such a perfect age.
And to interrupt some of that stuff quickly, might take a little bit more coaching.
Yeah.
So you can check out that program. It might be just exactly right for you. I see Sam Crenshaw dropping crate training. Welcome,
Thanks,
Sam. Sam is 16 months in a row Employee of the Month. Not only does he clean this place up, but he also cuts my hair. So thank you, Sam, for all that you do for us in the live stream.
Oh my God.
Chewing in your home can be a real nuisance for a lot of new puppy owners, whether it is like stuff that you care about. Oh, you know what? Actually, I wanted to get back to this. Made me think about the chewing thing. What are good chew toys that you'd give to a puppy?
I only give puppies chew toys. I only use things that they cannot destroy and that they do not require me to be like staring at them while they chew it. So the puppy tug, for example, I actually think somebody asked this in the...
Yeah, it's not a chew toy.
It's not a chew toy.
No.
Because
highly technical relationship building piece of
that's
equipment.
right. So this is something, if my puppy was to play with this on their own, they could, chew it apart. They could wreck it. They could swallow it. They could get hurt. This is something that I would bring out and play with my puppy together, but then I would put it away. But I might give my puppies things like, a Kong to chew on, and I could fill it with some goodies to help occupy them. I love using Kongs in my puppies' crates, especially when I first put them into the crate. I fill a Kong with some goodies, and that sort of gives them something to focus on when they get in the crate, so they're not so worried about me going to do my own thing. There's lots of different good chew bones out on the market as well, but also there's lots of chew bones that are not safe as well. So, we really like Nyla bones, Benny bones, yak bones. Those things are all pretty good. As your dog's older and a stronger chewer, you could, try something like antlers, things like that. But you do want to stay away from things like rawhide, pig's ears, cow hooves, anything like that. Number one, they're terribly unhealthy for your dog. But number two, especially with rawhide, it's easy to chew and the dogs really love it, but it expands with moisture. So if your dog swallows large pieces and it gets inside their belly and it expands with moisture, we unfortunately know of far too many dogs that have had to have surgery to get it removed because they just can't pass it and it gets lodged in their intestines. So just be aware of that. So chew bones are great, as long as they pass the safety test, and anything that your dog can play with that they can't rip the eyes off of, steal the squeaker out of, rip apart, tear apart, swallow, ingest, those types of things. That's sort of going to help separate chew toys from interactive toys.
Honestly, and we're not sponsored. We have a great relationship with the amazing people at Kong, and they actually sent us an entire.
They should sponsor us.
They had a massive. They sent us an entire shipping container, not quite a shipping container, but a pallet with a basket full of Kongs to do some content with, and they're just amazing. That's my go-to toy for chew toy, honestly, because you can put something in it. And I noticed someone, I can't remember who it was now, but someone had mentioned earlier, like, what do I do if my dog seems to have a little separation anxiety when I leave them in their crate? Well, I'll tell you what to do. You want to make sure you disrupt the pattern of whatever it means for you to get ready to leave and them going in their crate. So that might be, you take something like a Kong, you stuff it with whatever their delicious thing is. Maybe you're stuffing it for their breakfast or dinner or something before you leave. You stuff it all in there, you put the Kong in the crate, and then you close the door with your dog outside. So all they can think about is trying to get that thing. They can't wait to get in and get that food, or get in and get that chew toy. Or I chose Kong and food. Whatever your dog absolutely loves that they can have safely in their crate, that's what you're going to put in there. So then you do your thing, and as long as you can keep an eye on your puppy, now that it's time to leave, you let them in, and at that reward, whatever that happens to be, you close the door and away you go. Don't make a fuss about it. Don't make a big deal about you leaving. But it's a great way to get your dog's mind off the fact that you're leaving. The other thing you need to start doing is crating your dog while you're home.
Yeah.
That's going to be really important, so that they don't associate every time they go in their crate that you're going to be gone for any period of time. So take advantage of those two strategies. Chewing in your home. When we're talking about nuisance chewing, though, shoes, whatever, floor, but we've heard it all.
Heard it all.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Do
couches,
never
whatever.
Underestimate what your dog will consider swallowing.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
So it is important, though, that I know a lot of people will be like, "Oh, he's chewing on a thing. I'll get a treat and I'll lure him away." Well,
I'll just give him a toy instead.
Exactly. Yeah, like, oh yeah, shove a toy in his face instead of chewing on a shoe. This is why you have your house light on. This is what's going to give you good management of your puppy. Also, this is the leadership decision that changes everything. So your puppy's chewing on the thing. Somehow you missed it. They got a hold of that shoe, or they got a hold of that training bag, or whatever. You use your voice from a distance. Mark the moment that they've made the mistake. Hey. You get up there with your house sign, and then you guide them away. You just guide your puppy ever so gently. You guide them away. Now is the key. Now you get them to do something. Now it's like a sit exercise. Maybe it's whatever. You get them to work just a little bit, so that you can dissociate something of value. Because remember, we don't want to be telling our dog no all the time. That's not really fair, and that's not good coaching. No. We want to be making sure that there's like lots of support in there too, showing them what we do want. So after you've interrupted that behavior, guided your dog away, made them work, and then rewarded them with a food or toy, now's the opportunity to reassess your management. You're going to,
Yeah.
make sure that can't happen again, or you know that your puppy needs more exercise, or they need to go in their kennel because you can't supervise them very well. These are the leadership choices we talk a lot about in our puppy training classes as well as our dog training classes. It's those little things that you don't really think about, but because of like the wealth of knowledge that comes from all the amazing people at the training facility, these are the little wins that you need to get. And the little wins we try to share with you every 2 weeks here in the train station so that you can have a better experience with your puppy. And when you start to incorporate even half of the things that we talked about tonight, you're going to notice a big difference because your puppy's going to have a clearer picture of what your expectations are.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have our 15% off puppy training tools all in one bundle for 24 hours. So what time?
You need all the things.
What time do we start? So we started at 7:30 tonight.
Yeah.
7:30, whatever day of the week tomorrow night is. This gets
Tomorrow's
shut
Friday.
off. Okay, Friday, 7:30 Friday night. This thing gets shut off. 15% off all of your the 3 of the training tools that we talked about tonight. I know we talked about a lot, but your puppy house line, your Biothane weatherproof long line
In
easy to clean.
McCann blue. They look super sharp.
They're very cool. And your puppy tug,
soft.
the best relationship building tool you could possibly
And then you can
use.
wear it also as a scarf.
As a scarf. This is a pretty well loved puppy tug.
I know.
though.
It's been
This is
through
an
a
older
couple
puppy
of
tug.
our puppies.
Yeah.
They all love it.
Yeah. Join us in our online training or in person. You can visit us. We're in Flamborough, Ontario. A huge thank you to all of you who joined us
Let
tonight.
them know that our pool season
go
just
ahead.
got extended.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. So you may or may not know, but we have a facility in Flamborough, Ontario, and we have 3 training halls and a beautiful agility facility. But we want it to be like the best playground for dogs ever. So we've actually just put in a dock diving pool specifically for dogs.
It is awesome.
It's so awesome. So it can be used for dock diving, but also even if dogs have no interest in jumping off the dock and they just want to go for a nice swim, if they've never learned to swim, if they're scared of water. Literally, as I was leaving to come here, was watching Grace, one of our instructors, work on teaching a dog how to get into the water and swim for the first time. So cute. Anyways, why I was sort of teasing it there is we are in Ontario, Canada, and we just added a heater to the water. So now it's going to be nice and cozy and warm when you go into the water. I swim with my dogs all the time.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's
great.
Anyways, come and check it out if you are nearby.
For sure. I should mention, you're going to be away next train station.
You're right.
Where are you going to be?
I am going to Belgium, and I am going to represent Team Canada for
the World Championship of Dog Agility.
Yeah. So Beeline, my border collie, and I are we play dog agility, and we are going to represent Canada. And the competition, World Championships, is being held in Belgium this year. So I head out.
Kayl's won 21 World Championships in dog agility with 5 different dogs. Like a bunch of different dogs.
Yeah, 5
with
different dogs.
5 different dogs.
Not B yet though.
Drop.
She's still
Drop 22
getting that thing.
in the chat. I want you to just try 22
Give
and then
me
hit enter. 22
all-
enters.
I need all the good
I want you to
mojo I
spam
can
the
get.
chat with 22 because we're really excited for Kayl and Beeline. It's been a long time coming. We're really excited for them to get to Belgium and stand up on the podium with that gold
Thank you,
medal.
guys.
Sam Crenshaw, of course, is 22. 22 in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. As we leave tonight's show, we'll wish Kayl off well with the number 22 over and over again.
I love that.
It can't
Thank
get too
you.
repetitive. I think it's important that with
you.
all of the teaching, all of the training, all of the things that we've talked about tonight, the rest of my friends, well, that is up to you. And don't forget to be awesome.